If everyone could put themselves on mute, that would be great.
Yeah, as you come in, you're automatically muted.
Okay.
It's just with all the people, it's much easier. So I just want to say good morning to everybody. Thanks for joining us at this relatively early hour for Realtors. Eric Woods is laughing because he's in the new Fast Start class, and all the Fast Start classes start promptly at 9. So welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us. This is a lot of great information we're going to send your way. I am Jen Berger, Director of Career Development for Eastern New York. And also with us, we've got Al Peachy, Senior VP of Eastern New York as well. So just a couple housekeeping items. This class is being recorded and it will be posted probably later today on the Howard Hanna Education YouTube channel that everybody should log in and subscribe to. It doesn't cost anything. There's tons and tons of great video content there. Also, you will be emailed the PowerPoint after today's presentation, along with some supplemental goodies that we have for you to aid in your successful planning for 2021. We have a lot to cover today, so we will be having Q&A at the end. So if something pops in your head, you have a question, please put it in the chat, and we will address all of the questions at the end, just so that we can keep the flow going for everybody. And just so everybody knows how this is going to go this morning, Al's going to do the first portion of the planning, and then I'll be doing the second portion, and then we'll both do the Q&A at the end. So without further ado, Mr. Peachy, let's kick it off.
Thanks, Jen. Good morning, everyone. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving with your family and friends. So it's amazing to me that we are in the beginning part of December already. It seems like from the beginning of the year when we started going through some of the challenges with COVID in March and April to today has just flown by. And that's typically what's going to happen over the course of a year. And that's why business planning is so important. So I get the opportunity to talk with a lot of sales associates over the course of the year. But as we get towards the end of the year too, I have the opportunity to reach out to people and kind of dialogue with how did their year go? Did you hit your goals? Did you not hit your goals? Why didn't you hit those goals? And today's really the opportunity to plan for the future so that as you look at the end of 2021 and you look at where you are, you can say why you didn't hit your goal or why you did hit your goal because you had a plan in place. And so a lot of agents, get up every day, they go out, they have a great COI, they do great business, and things all work out for them. But there's a number of other people that at the end of the day, you want to say, this is the plan I put in place for success. This is why I'm going to reach my goals in 2021. And the plan's a way to guide you there. At the end of the day, we all want to do more business, I think. Some of us are at a career where maybe we want to downsize a little bit, but there's still an amount of business that you want to do. And this really business planning opportunity is a way to get there. So, we're going to talk a little bit about, my screen is not shared anymore. Let's see here.
Did you freeze up? Because we still see the first slide.
Yep. Oops, there we go.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. So real estate business planning, why is it important? You want to be in control of your business and to have a successful year. So you need a plan to find measurable goals. And that's what we're going to talk about today is really having measurable goals. So that if you have a good year or a bad year, you know why you had that good year or bad year. Goals are written, they're specific, they're measurable, they're realistic, they have a timeline. And so that's what all this is going to encompass. So you focus on those 4 or 5 items that are measurable, that you can have specific goals that are attainable. And goals are different than wishes. So we all have wishes, I think, in our life. I wish the pandemic was over. I wish that, I had more money. We all wish we had more money. but how do we achieve that? How do we get to that goal? And that there's goals that are internal, there's goals that are external, or there are things that are external. The pandemic is an external thing that we really can't control, but our own income and our own goals are things that we can control. So how do we do that? So you have to analyze your business. You have to look at what you did well over the course of the year. You have to look at what you did not do well over the course of the year. If you have a business plan, then you can look at, this is my roadmap to success. You can say, hey, these are the things I did in 2020 that either worked good or didn't work good. And how can I take the things that worked well and achieve those things in 2021, and to take the things that didn't work too well and maybe put them on the back burner and discard them a little bit and say, I did all this marketing, or I advertised in some publication, but I didn't really get the results from it. Or, I bought some leads on Zillow, but I didn't follow up on them. Or, what are things that you can do to look backwards and reflect on the things that you did well and things that you did not do well. So what do you want? Why do you want it? And how are you going to get there? So part of what I always look at as part of the planning process is, what goals do you have? You have goals that you set for income. You have goals that you set for your family. I have a daughter in college today. So 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago, I had to start thinking about how to be in a position to get her through college, and both of my kids through college. So those are things we all go through as part of the planning process. And why do you want it is, a lot of times we want to earn more because we want to buy a house, we want to buy a new car, we want to, have a second home. Then how are you going to get there? What steps are you going to take to get to those goals that you want? And that's what the business process is all about. So as I just said, there's different categories. So it's the family category. You want to focus on, the different things of why, the things are there that you want. So it's either family, financial, career, could be recreation, could be a legacy. You want to leave money for your kids at the end of the day. Do you have what's called a feel-good account, or an account at the end of the day that you have a slush fund? So as something happens, the car breaks down and it costs a couple $1,000s, you have the money to do that, so you do not have to go out and borrow money to do it. So have you put together those things in your life to achieve your financial goals? A lot of people have a picture of their goal in their office. So, if your goal is to go on a vacation this coming year, once the pandemic is over, in Europe, do you have a picture of where you want to go in Europe? Do you have a picture of potentially the new car that you want? Do you have the picture of, something that you want to do, so that you can see that goal every day and use that as your motivation to get to where you want to be? And it's all about, knowing your numbers. So business planning. So, we go through a lot of business planning as a company at this time of the year. So every branch manager that works for me will put together a budget of numbers that they believe their branch is going to do. So we look at those budgeted numbers as our roadmap throughout the year. And so there's numbers that you must hit. So if you want to go from 2 million to 4 million, how do you get there? If you want to go from 6 to 8 million, how do you get there? If you want to go from 10 to 15, how do you get there? And so that's why the numbers are important, because they help guide you to that next level of success. When I talk to agents and they say, I want to go up by 20%, I say, how are you going to get there? They don't really know sometimes. They haven't come up with that roadmap to success, and it's all about doing more appointments. It's, our business is pretty straightforward. It's meeting buyers and sellers. But how you meet those buyers and sellers, how you get those appointments, is what we're going to talk about today as part of the whole planning process. And then once you're on the appointments, what are your conversion rates? So it's great to go out on appointments, but if you go out on 10 listing appointments and you get 3 or 4, why didn't you get the other 6 or 7? So your conversion rates are also extremely important. So, if I asked all of you today, how many listing appointments that you went on in 2020 and how many you were successful at, I'm hopeful that all of you could tell me the answer to that. But my guess would be probably not. So the more that we look at this analysis and we dig into our business a little bit, the more it's going to help each and every one of you achieve the goals that you're looking for. So just some of the things that you should look at. And like Jen said, this is all going to be sent to you in a PowerPoint presentation. This whole presentation will be sent to you. But what is your average sales price? So, in Eastern New York, we have a variety of different markets. We have some markets where the average sales price may be $250 or $300. We have other markets that may be $150, $125, $200,000. So it's important to look at your average sales price, because you want to say, if I want to do $10 million in volume and the average sales price is $250,000, you know how many units you need to do to get to that goal. But it varies upon each of the markets that you're in. So you have to know your market. You have to know those average sales prices. And even within each individual market, if I look here in the capital region, there's a wide variety of average sales prices as we move through different counties and different municipalities in those counties. So you have to do some reflection about what those average sales prices are for your business and make those decisions. And then what is your average commission? So, some people's average commission may be $4,000 or $5,000. Other people may be $2,000 or $3,000. So look at that, and you can see how you do those calculations. Your 2020 commission income divided by the number of units gives you your average commission income. What is your listing conversion rate? And this is one of the most important things that I would hope each and every one of you would spend some time on. Because if you're going out on listing appointments and you're not getting listings, what are the reasons for that? I always say to sales associates, you should know who you're competing with in a certain market. So if you're going out on a listing appointment in Delmar or Camillus or Enwell, and it's in a certain area, you should know those 2 or 3 agents that are likely going to be your competitors on a listing appointment and what they have to offer and what you can do to differentiate yourself and our company from the competition. So one of the things I would encourage you to do as you look at your whole listing process a little bit is look at Hannah presentations, look at some of the tools we have and how they can help you in that listing conversion rate. And then I think one of the best ways to meet prospective prospects are open houses. And so, a lot of us have a big center of influence, and that's great. And we have a nice mix of people on the call today. So we have some newer agents on the call that are just starting a business. We have some people that have been in the business, for 20 or 30 years. But if you're out there doing open houses, what are the number of people that you're getting through an open house? And how do you get more people to come through an open house? And so we'll talk about that a little bit later. But if you're doing open houses, it's a great way to meet potential prospects, whether they're buyers, and a lot of people that come to open houses also have a house to sell. So you're meeting sellers at the same time. What is your open house conversion rate? So one of the tools we have is open to close. And there was a stat that just came out over the last 2 or 3 weeks that if you use open to close, the top 100 agents that have used open to close in our company have done 40% more business in 2020 than the agents that have not. So just think about that. Even if your business went up by 20%, that's a huge growth rate. So look at open to close as a way to help your conversion rate. And then what is your online lead conversion rate? So we get leads. Some of you may buy leads. Some of you are getting leads off your listings. Some of you are getting leads off other avenues of stuff that you do to reach out to people. So what are those conversion rates? So are you converting enough of your leads? So if you're out working with a buyer or you're out working with a seller, what are your conversion rates as you look at those prospects? And then, again, as we're looking at our whole budgeting process, how are you organizing your expenses? So as I talk to a lot of people this time of the year, there's one topic that comes up a lot. I've had a good year. I didn't save for taxes. I have a tax bill that's going to come due in another 3 or 4 months, and I'm not sure how I'm going to meet that obligation. So you've got to track some of the expenses that are coming down the pike, but you also got to track the expenses that are part of your business. You've got to look at what those expenses are, and you've got to say, how do I take the expenses that I need to help run my business and still make a profit at the end of the day? So all of our goal is the same thing. My goal for each of the branch offices that are part of my region is to earn a profit. Your goal as a real estate agent is to earn a profit. So you have to know the numbers that go into your business and how they impact your business. What are your financial obligations, both personally and professionally? So take a list, put all those obligations down, whether it's your MLS dues, whether it's your marketing, advertising, cell phone bills, household maintenance, insurance, whatever it is, those all have to be part of the information that you put together as part of your business plan, so that when you look at how do I have to grow my business, part of it's going to be how do I meet my obligations and where do I need to grow my business in order to meet those obligations. So you can go into Engage CRM, which is our customer relationship management tool, and actually put your goal in there. So one of the nice things to do is if you put your goal in there, it's going to help to track it for you. And it's a tool that we provide for you at no charge. So take advantage of Engage CRM. If you have not had the opportunity to use it, it's on your dashboard. It's on the HANA dashboard. Your manager can certainly show you how to use it. But that is a great tool to set your goals and to then look at that as a roadmap to help say, hey, this is where I am in meeting my goals.
Hey, Al, can I just jump in?
Sure.
And because I know that we do have a lot of experienced agents on the call, and we're going to talk a lot about different tools. This is not a commercial for all the tools. Right. We know that a lot of agents use different CRMs. So whatever system you're working, if it's working for you, that's perfect.
Yeah, and that's a good point. Whether you're using, something else that is outside of the HANA organization. Again, I talk about the tools we have because they're here for you to use. They're part of the tools that we have. But if you're using something else to do this, that's great. Again, use what's going to work for you. So appointments are your primary focus, and without appointments, nothing happens. So again, I'm more than appreciative that we have a lot of people on the call today. But our goal at the end of everything that we do is to get face-to-face appointments. So everything that we work towards is to meet buyers and sellers. So how are you getting those appointments? How are you working towards getting those appointments? Are you reaching out to your COI? Are you doing prospecting? Are you doing marketing? And this is the time you're a little bit to reflect on what you're doing to kind of put your marketing plan together. You need to track the number of buyer and seller appointments you have moving forward to determine your conversion rates, which kind of mentioned a few minutes ago. But once you identify how many appointments you need to meet your targets, you need to focus on how to generate the leads necessary to obtain those appointments. So if your goal is $5 million, and let's say your average sales price is $250,000, and you need 25 transactions this year to meet your goal, how many appointments do you need to go out on to meet that goal of $5 million and 25 buyers and sellers that you've had the opportunity to close this year? So kind of tracking those and working backwards, starting with your goal and working backwards into the appointments is an important part of coming up with the next thing is your strategy. So what is the strategy to go out and get those appointments? What is the strategy that you're going to impart as you move through the year to get your 25 transactions? Is it doing more open houses? Is it reaching out to your COI once a month? Is it doing some new marketing in a publication that you think can help generate some leads in the areas that you want? So developing your strategy is the next important part of kind of coming together with a solid business plan for the coming year. So there's a few components of it. And again, these are all things for you guys to take a look at to say, some of these may work well into my business plan. Some of these things I'm not going to do in my business plan, but these are just guidelines for you. Do you have a mission statement? So we as a HANA organization have a mission statement. We have a plan of how we're going to achieve those goals. And that comes from doing a SWOT analysis sometimes. And some of you may have done this before, but it's looking at your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And it's assessment of where you are in the marketplace today. So you have to know your competition. You have to know the competition in your market to know where that SWOT analysis kind of fits into, your business plan. Specific goals. You have short-term goals and long-term goals. Your short-term goals are going to be maybe how many appointments do I need to get in order to achieve my long-term goals, which is getting to the production goal that you want at the end of the year. A strategic Strategic plan is coming up with strategies that you will use to achieve your goals. Your business plan should evolve as your business and abilities grow. So some of you that are more experienced may have more, I guess, in-depth strategic plans because you've been in the business for a while. People may say part of my strategic plan may just be to do open houses and to reach out to my center of influence as a way to start that process of building your business. What is the time frame that you have to achieve your goals? So, as we move through the end of this year into the beginning of next year, you want to come up with a time frame to start your business plan. I always say to everyone, if you have a great first quarter, the rest of the year goes great. If you struggle in the first quarter and your business is off and you're not meeting your goals, it's more of an uphill climb. So it's really important to get out of the gate strong, have some really solid goals in the first 3 to 4 months of the year and achieve those goals. Then who's your target audience? Define who your audience is and how you're going to market to them. So some of you will look at your COI, marketing to your COI. Some of you still may do FSBOs and expireds. Those are all great ways to build your business. But what is that target audience? How are you going to go after that target audience and defining the target audience that you want? Some agents do the high-end market, the luxury market. So how do you find that luxury audience that you're looking for? And then have specific systems and processes in place to track what you're doing. Use the customer relationship management system, whether it's Engage, whether it's another system, Top Producer, whatever it may be, whether you just have a spreadsheet out there to track the opportunities that you're getting and the clients that you're getting so that you can see, hey, these are my A prospects, my B prospects, my C prospects, and focus on those people. So Jen's going to send out something a little bit later today that kind of, has a little analysis of the SWOT analysis. But as I just said, knowing who you're up against and how you're better than those who you will be competing with. Each of us should have a value proposition that I'll talk about a little bit later to know who our competitors are, to know what value we bring to the table. So we are a full service real estate company. We charge a commission rate that shows the value of what we bring to the table. So your value proposition has to be such that the people that you're meeting with know what you're bringing to the table, whether you talk about all of our tools, some of our tools, whether you talk about your background, the number of transactions you've done, whether you talk about some market statistics where you show your list to sale ratios are better than other agents that you're competing against. Those are all things that you have to put in your arsenal. Jen?
We're on the SWOT analysis slide. I don't know if you had clicked through to the value proposition.
No, I not yet. I not gotten there yet. So I was kind of just talking about that. Sorry. So when we look at our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, these are kind of a breakdown of where they are. So the strengths are your education, your experience, positive traits that you can bring to the table, your reputation, location, brand, market share, resources, the competitive advantage, your personality. Weaknesses, lack of experience. Some of you are new to the business. How do you overcome that lack of experience? What word tracks do you use to help bridge the gap between, where a more experienced agent is and where a newer agent is? Lack of direction, some poor planning, not utilizing our tools, lack of motivation, no database. So those are things, if you look at where your business is today, do you have any of those areas that are weaknesses for you? And how can you take those weaknesses and make them into strengths? Opportunities, are you looking at a new construction development? Are you using Engage to organize and market? Are you looking at new target neighborhoods? So a lot of agents say, hey, this is a neighborhood that I want to market to. How do you do that? How do you look at that neighborhood and put that as part of your farming area? Do you want to build a team? Is your business doing so well that you need to build a team in the coming year? Are there designations that you want that will help you as you look at your business? Do you have a great listing presentation? Do you have a great buyer presentation? Are you using open to close? Are you putting buyers in Real Scout? So those are things that, as you look at the new year, you look at those opportunities and say, how can I put them into my business plan? What can I do to take some of those opportunities and have them help my business as I move forward. And so, we have a lot of tools. We have a lot of new tools that we've rolled out in 2020. But what tools can you use to help your business grow? Pick one or two. And over the next 30 or 60 days, learn those one or two tools that are going to help you be successful. And then threats become economic threats, low inventory, industry changes. Some of those threats we can't help. They're part of the things that we can't control in our lives, the pandemic being one of them. But how do we work through, low inventory? How do we, try to go out and use our skill set and this business plan to get more inventory to help ourselves build that listing base a little bit? And then what is your value proposition? So, once you look at your SWOT analysis and look at kind of where you are, and you've done a good look at all the things that, you need to do, your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, how do you build your value proposition? What sets you apart from other agents in your market? What unique skill set do you bring to the table? And what benefit do you provide? So your value proposition has to look at each of those three things. If I look at the Capital Region, there's 500 agents. In the Southern Tier and Syracuse, there's 350 to 400 agents, that are part of our company. And then if you look at the greater Capital Region, we have over 4,000 agents here. So how do you take that value proposition and make yourself unique when you're competing against those other people? What sets you apart from the other agents, both internally and externally, in your way that you're going to market yourself? So what unique skill set do you have? What benefits do you provide? And then creating your market message. So all of us should have a message, and we wouldn't go on a listing appointment that kind of sets you apart. So whether it's looking at the stats in the market, whether you use a tagline for you as an agent that you use to market yourself, you have to create that marketing message that you want for yourself. So what makes you unique from that competition? Do you specialize in first-time home buyers? Do you specialize in people that are downsizing? Do you specialize in the luxury market? What is your niche in the market? What are you going to focus on as a means to help you grow your business? And then put your plan into action. How can you create your action plan? So, and that's what Jen's going to talk about a little bit more in the next part of her presentation. But what is your action plan? Make it as detailed as it can be, and look at the goals you created and give each goal a strategy, and then custom tailor those actions you think you need to put into place to make that plan come to life. So when you look at your plan, when you look at your strategies, you've got to have actions to go with those strategies to help you achieve your plan. And here's just, an example of kind of putting a plan into action. Add 30 prospects to your database every month. So if you do that, you're going to add 360 prospects to your database over the course of the year. But if you do that, think about all the people that you're going to have the opportunity to reach out to. Think about how that's going to help your network of connecting with people. Whether it's attending community functions. And, we're not doing as many community functions right now as we used to, but I know a lot of you have done things over Thanksgiving to reach out to your clients and stuff. How do you kind of connect with those past colleagues right now and friends and family members? How do you make that connection? Maybe it's writing a handwritten note card, which I think is a great way to touch people. They love getting a handwritten note from you, just checking in to see how you're doing. Develop a blog or a website. Share information via social media. I look at what a lot of agents are doing today is kind of looking at an organization that has a big following and then kind of trying to do something to help that organization. And then they share your information throughout their organization. So look at some social media and look at ways of how you can kind of maybe partner with other people, taking pictures of people that you have just sold a house to and posting it on your social media. They're going to share that with other people, and that's going to be a way for you to get your name and your recognition out there. And then find ways to measure your return on your investment. So if you're boosting some stuff on social media, if you're doing other things in social media, what is your rate of return? Are you getting good feedback from that? Are people engaging you? Are people following you? So look at what your rate of return is and what is best for you in the social media world. So I'm going to turn it over to Jen now. She can talk a little bit about lead generation, lead engagement, and lead conversion. We'll certainly answer some questions at the end of this, and then kind of go from there. So Jen, it's up to you.
Great. Thanks, Al. And as I'm switching over to my screen, Nancy Diani had a question about how do you know what the average sale price is in your region?
So you can do, there's a couple different things to do. We can go into the MLS and you can pull up a market area in the MLS, Nancy, and you can look at kind of what the average sales prices are. We can use our new automated market share report, which drills down to a lot of regions, and you can kind of see what the market shares that we have for a region. But I would say the best way to do it is to just go into the MLS. You can look at a certain market area, whether it's a school district or whatever it may be, and then find out what that average sales price is for that marketplace.
Great. And also, Steve Staples had suggested, as far as business finances, to have a personal account and then have a business account separate. Even if that means taking your commission checks, putting it into the business account, and immediately taking it out and putting it into your personal account. Psychologically, that will let you know that you are a business owner and this is your business, and it does separate those funds. So I think that's also a great idea.
Yeah, and I think too, one of the things you guys can all do, as we conclude this presentation and you start doing some of your planning, is sit down with your manager. Your manager can get a lot of these stats for you through the MLS or through our internal numbers. And so you can look at what you've done internally this year. You can look at what you did for the past 3 or 4 years. So if you want to track your business a little bit, go to your manager and ask them for our internal stats, compare them to the market stats so that you can see what you've done compared to the market as a whole too. So, certainly a lot of that information can be gleaned from your manager.
Great. Thanks, Al. So is everybody seeing my screen? Okay. We're good? Okay. Great. So a lot of you know I'm a big Buffini gal, so we're going to touch on all sorts of great ways to keep everybody on track. Prospecting is the name of the game for your business. When actively prospecting for new business, the general rule of thumb is it takes 40 contacts to generate one opportunity. Does that sound a little daunting to anybody? It sounds daunting to me. So let's break it down and see exactly how this works. So how do you calculate the number of new prospects you need? On average, the number of transactions you want to do, let's pick a number, the 28 number, times 40 prospects. That's 1,120 people you need to touch over the course of 12 months. So 93 prospects per month. That still sounds like an awful lot to me, but you still keep breaking it down. And so over the course of 30 days, that's really just 3 new prospects per day. So the old adage, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And so this is a great way to sort of break down those big scary numbers into daily numbers. But at the end of the day, you've got to be sure that you are putting in pen in your calendar, because I know you all use a calendar, whether it's paper calendar, Outlook calendar, Google calendar. Don't keep it all up here because you'll forget things will fall through the cracks. Most important thing about your business is prospecting, because we get so tied up in all of the customer service aspect of deals, which is what takes the most time, that we sort of get away from the prospecting piece. You can't. You've got to take your calendar out and do time blocking so that you know where your business is coming from, and you know that you are going to make that the absolute most important priority for where your business is going to come from. Because if you don't do that, you'll get all caught up in the customer service, and then you'll have all these closings and then nothing left in your pipeline. So focus on generating seller listing leads. Each listing is a lead generator. There is nothing better than having a sign in the ground advertising you. Each listing gives you a new neighborhood to begin farming. Each listing provides you with a property to hold an open house. You know, the best thing for an open house is to invite the neighbors to a pre-open house, a pre-party. And it's a great way to involve the neighbors. I'm sure a lot of the experienced agents have had an experience where, you know, the nosy neighbor will come into an open house, but they may work with somebody who's wanted to be in that same neighborhood. So now this house is top of mind for them to go back to work to say, hey, there's a house for sale in my neighborhood. You might want to reach out and look into it. So, you know, you need to do all of the legwork. And this is a great way to have these prospecting activities. So an open house really should be treated like a 3-week event. And again, creating a listing plan for 2021 to target neighborhoods where there's the greatest buyer demand. You need to, oh, Al, you want to chime in?
Yeah, and just to touch on the open house thing, you know, I think a lot of you have heard us talk about 5, 5, 10. So it's marketing to the 5 houses to the right, the 5 houses to the left, and then 10 houses across the street. I guarantee you, if you do that, when you get a listing, when you do an open house, when you have a sale, and when the transaction closes, think about touching those 20 houses, 20 people, 4 or 5 different times. That's 80 touches. Mm-hmm. You're going to get 1 or 2 opportunities out of that. So just think about in the open house process, doing the 5, 5, 10. You're going to build your business just doing some simple things like that.
Absolutely. So, you know, here you get listings. You should look at it as a 3-pronged attack. So when you know you have a property coming on the market, talk it up with the folks in your office at office meetings. And again, like what Al said, the 5, 5, 10s are huge. It gets your face out into a neighborhood if you have not already been farming that area, or it's not an area that you have done business with in the past. And then present, once everything is signed, it's in the MLS, deploy your overall marketing plan when that listing paperwork is signed. You know, you're getting the sign in the ground, you're putting it on social media, you're post-COVID, hopefully doing brokers opens. And then once the property is sold, follow up with those you've communicated with earlier. These are all prospecting activities that you need to be sure to put in your calendar to make sure that they get done, because truly prospecting, as we know, is absolutely the way to grow your business. And I know there's a lot of people on this call who've been doing this for decades. But maybe your goal is to raise your average sale price. So, you know, look back on the business that you did in 2020. It's pretty easy to figure out the average sale price for the year from this past year. Maybe you want to work a little smarter and not harder and raise your average sale price. That's certainly a great activity to work with your manager to see how you can do that. And audience message, tell your message to your audience to increase your opportunity for engagement. Divide them into 2 categories. This is a real simple way to sort of divide your database for those who you've met, which are the past clients that you're going to keep in close contact with, your inner circle of people who already know you, like you, and trust you. And then people in open houses that you've met, who you've captured their information using open to close, or something maybe a little more low tech like the sign-in sheets. Whatever system you're using, keep at it. And then there's the not mets. Those are neighborhood farmings, FSBOs, expireds, online leads. those people who you still need to continue to reach out to, but who you may not have met face-to-face or have a relationship with. I know a lot of you who have taken Buffini classes, Ninja classes, taking your database and rating your database A to C. That's also something that you can drill in a little more from the met and not met. Take that met list and drill down even more. The A's are the people who you really actually like to spend time with, those past clients who you like to have a cocktail with, take out to dinner. Those are the A's. Those are the people you really need to spend the most time with. And so again, people want to work with agents they know, like, and trust. So every person on the planet knows at least 5 real estate agents. There are at least 15 transactions you can add to your business per year for every 100 households who know you. So don't be passive. I think one of the easiest things you can do is log in to GoHanna, because I know everybody logs into their GoHanna account every day. Go in, look in the bop shop, see what you can find. They've got really nice North Face jackets, baseball hats, golf shirts. I know when I'm in the grocery store and I see somebody walking down an aisle with a logo, either on a hat or on a shirt or a jacket, I'm always sort of looking in saying, what does that say? Who do they work with? Who do they work for? I guarantee you it will get a dialogue started. Just a little aside, when I first came to Howard Hanna, I had my business card had my information on the front, and then on the back, it had more information about the company. I thought, what a good idea to have business cards that only have writing on the front. So that way the back is just plain white, because not everybody has business cards. So you're going to meet somebody in the grocery store line who's going to say, hey, you work for Howard Hanna. I'm thinking about buying a second home, or I'm real curious to see what my house is worth. You're going to be giving them your business card, but how are you going to follow up with that person? So that's when you give them your business card, you take out another business card and jot their information on the back of your business card, and that's what you keep. So that way you're not just throwing your business cards out the window, you're actually gathering contact information from people. And again, it's so super important to continue to stay top of mind with the people who do already know you, like you, and trust you. I'm sure all of us have stories to tell of family members who have bought and sold homes without us because they just plain old forgot that we were in the real estate industry. And I know everybody's just like, oh, it's happened to me. It's happened to all of us. So don't discount those people who are closest to us. Some of them may be like, that's too close. I don't want you knowing all my financial information. I don't want you knowing my credit score. That's okay. But they all work with people. They all have in-laws or neighbors. So it's important that people closest to you don't forget that you're in the business. And I think, we get busy and we forget to remind people, because at the end of the day, everybody has stuff. Everybody's busy. This where we are in the world today is crazy. So everybody has stuff on their minds, but at the end of the day, there's still people who obviously need to sell, and there's still people obviously in this market who need to buy, regardless of what's swirling around in the world today. So don't forget to always be prospecting, and you have to track. You got to track where your deals come from. So this is why this is such a great time of the year to look back on the business that you did in 2020. It's a little time consuming, but it's so worth it. Al, you want to jump in?
Yeah, and just to go back to the slide you had up a second ago, I think it's real important to just focus on there are at least 15 transactions you can add to your business per year for every households who know you. Just think about that. Think about building your database with the people that you know. And if you could add 100 households who know you every year and you're connected with them and reaching out to them, that you can pick up 15 transactions. And maybe it's not 15, maybe it's 8, maybe it's 7, maybe it's 13 or 14, whatever the number is. It's a pretty valuable opportunity. So the more households you can get in your database, whether it's doing open houses where you reach out to that neighborhood and you become the neighborhood expert, whether it's getting more in touch with your COI and making better connections with them and building your name recognition with them, and then referring you to other people that you can add to your COI, those are really valuable ways to help build your business.
Great. Thanks, Al. A couple of these slides talk about flow. Some of you may be very familiar with Ninja Selling, one of my all-time favorite books, which is a relatively recent book, Ninja Selling by Larry Kendall. I recommend it to everybody. I've read it probably 5 times in the last 3 years since it came out. A fabulous, fabulous book that, again, you need to take little bites of at a time, but really great information. And within that book, it talks a lot about flow. And it basically just means you've got auto flow, which is sort of the stuff that works behind the scenes, like the neighborhood news, e-cards, social media. Certainly, if you're a big social media person, that's great. If you're not, that's okay too. But certainly if you are a social media person, you've got to wrap your business into your social media presence. I know that everybody needs a personal page in order to have a business page. Try and have your information be 80-20. People on social media need to see that you are a real person. You're not just two-dimensional realtor. You have kids, you have pets, you have interests, you travel. People need to know that. So that's just another way of getting some flow. I love the water analogies into your business plan. And then live flow is, read this, 50 live interviews per week using Ford questions. And those of you, again, it's a bit of a ninja-ism, but the Ford is an acronym that stands for family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. Of those 4 topics, you can pretty much start a conversation with a perfect stranger by asking questions along those veins. Everybody loves talking about themselves. They love talking about their family. It's very natural for somebody to say, hey, what do you do for a living? Oh, I help people buy and sell homes. What do you do? And it gets them, again, talking about themselves. And everybody loves to talk about what they did on the weekend. Oh, I went for a hike. I'm almost a 46er in the Adirondacks. So 46er, is that right?
Yes.
I so am not. It's a real easy way to sort of stick it in the back of your head that you've got the family, occupation, recreation, dreams, questions, open-ended questions to ask people. And then the Ninja 9 is mentioned here. I will dive in a little bit more with that on a later slide. So engaging event and touch point ideas to get into the flow. And again, a lot of these ideas work great post-COVID, but some of them you can do right now. Annual real estate review and market updates that they have made. A lot of people, most people who are homeowners, see all the headlines, they read the paper, they're real curious about how this national market and even the local market is affecting their home. That's really all they care about. So it's great to be able to offer people who are on your A-list, your past customers, to say, hey, would you like a real estate checkup on your house? I can do a real quickie CMA to show you sort of where you're at today. They may not sell their house for 10 more years, but people are always curious about what their home is worth. It's a great reason to reach out to somebody to say, hey, would you be interested in this? I am the local expert. I'm happy to share this information with you. House anniversary cards, I call them house anniversary. I think it's a great thing. I know that we closed on our house the day before my birthday. So I always remember when our house anniversary is, but it is sort of something cool to say, wow, that year went quickly. It's a nice, easy milestone to be able to have the reason to reach out to a past client. The neighborhood newsletters, we've got so many avenues to make that so easy for people to send out. I mean, the neighborhood news is just a great thing that's super easy to be able to send out to your sphere. And like Al said, there is nothing more powerful than handwritten notes. Absolutely nothing. How often do you get a handwritten note in the mail? And don't run it through the postage meter in your office. Go buy a roll of stamps, use real stamps. It does, I think it makes a difference. It makes it just that much more personal. But you know, when was the last time you got a handwritten note in the mail other than a birthday card from your mother? So really powerful stuff. It's time consuming. And again, it's a prospecting activity. So don't forget that when you are writing your business plan to say, hey, I'm going to try in 2021 to write 3 handwritten notes a day, Monday through Friday, and see how you do with it. It's not easy to do it every single day, but it's a great thing to put in your planning for the next year. Thanksgiving pie giveaways, client events. There's all sorts of activities that you can do. And again, you know, a lot of this is post-COVID. I know some offices did sort of the reverse, where with the Thanksgiving pies, that they had the pies right at their offices and people dropped by curbside to get a pie that they ordered. It's a really nice gesture. And again, it's investing in your own business. Sure, some of these things do take money, but they're all business expenses. So you do have to look at how much money you're going to reinvest back into your own business, because you do have to spend some money to make more money. So, you know, consistent marketing, that not met group, those incubating those leads that you've received, incubating people who came through an open house. I know of an agent in Clifton Park who is a big texter, and he has great success with it because he said, you know, I would have met somebody at an open house. I'll text them because it's so hands-off and easy to say, hey, great meeting you at the open house. He will text that person probably once every 3 to 4 to 5 weeks and just check in and say, hey, crazy weather we're having here. Hope you're well. Hope you and your family are surviving COVID. Okay. It doesn't even have anything to do with real estate. And 3/4 of the time, these people do not respond to him. And yet he is diligent about, he's got it in his business plan on his calendar. To who am I going to text today? 8 months go by. And then all of a sudden, these people are like, we're ready to buy right now. When can you get together? This is how it works. Don't give up because you feel like you're texting to a black hole or you're sending things out and you're not getting any response. There is no magic pill, no silver bullet. It does take time because, like I had said before, everybody's got their stuff and you really need to just continue to stay top of mind. We've got all sorts of great marketing that you can do. I mean, Facebook Live events. I know when COVID hit and everybody was at home, it's like, oh my gosh, how do you do Facebook Live? Some of us got really good at it. And again, it's like everything else. The more you do it, the better you're going to get. Facebook Live is sort of fun because it's live. It takes the good and the bad, and everybody likes to see a blunder or a mess up because it's fun. Flyers, door hangers, check with your manager, check with your admin. Most all of the branches, I would say, have all sorts of access to great marketing pieces. And community events, co-branding. I know a lot of agents have kids on soccer teams, on t-ball teams, where they're looking for sponsorship. If your child is in a school play, once those are back up and running, sponsor an ad in the program. There's all sorts of ideas to get your name out there to that not met group. And again, consistent prospecting keeps you active in the market versus reactive to a lack of a pipeline. And that, when an agent's business is down, we will hear, I need to focus on prospecting. And it's been tough because the market has been so crazy busy. How many of us have really taken the time to commit to that prospecting? Yep, all of our hair's on fire. We're trying to keep deals together. We're trying to get deals to close. Don't get away from the prospecting piece. It's not fancy, but that's how your pipeline will continue to be healthy. It really is the most important thing that you can continue to do in your business. And again, don't make it wishful thinking like, yeah, I'm going to prospect more in 2021. Make it concrete and measurable. How many notes are you going to write a week? How many open houses are you going to do in a month? Have that all planned out and schedule it for the whole year. And don't forget to put time in for yourself. Schedule the vacations because those truly are really most important so that you can recharge your batteries, because if you don't, forget about it. If you're brand new in the business, plan to take maybe a half a day off during the week to recharge your batteries. A lot of new agents, you really need to work 7 days a week to really get up and going. But don't forget about yourself. So lead conversion, getting the most out of the tools that are offered to you. I mean, you all know Howard Hanna has just a plethora of tools at your disposal. I'm just going to go through some of the highlights of some of the tools that we have. And, again, we're throwing a ton of information at you. Pick one or two things to add to your written business plan, because we all know it's got to be in writing, for 2021, and commit to learning a tool or two that you haven't used yet. Just a little sidebar, on GoHanna, there's an admin portal. You might want to check it out because it was originally geared towards teaching all of the admins in the branch different tools, but it's a great roadmap for you all to use. There's a video about how to use the different tools. It breaks it all down. It has FAQs attached that you can refer to. It's a great avenue to get more information. And also, I will give the link in the email with the PowerPoint for the YouTube channel for Howard Hanna Education. You do need to subscribe. It doesn't cost anything, but once you subscribe, it unlocks all of the videos that have been posted, and they're all categorized by different channels. So it's relatively easy to search if you're looking for specific information about how to dive a little bit deeper into open to close and to Real Scout, and pretty much all of our other tools available to you. And then Hanna Presentations. If you haven't looked at Hanna Presentations recently, take a relook. It has been improved and added to. It's really a fabulous feature that we offer. And yes, it makes great listing presentation docs. It's also a great tool to use with buyers. It can be a great tool to just promote yourself. As brand new agents who don't have maybe listing opportunities yet, mess around with it. Get in there and see everything that it has to offer, because there is quite a lot. And again, engage CRM. We are lucky enough to be a large enough company that we have a CRM available to all of our agents free. Very few brokerages can say that. So again, it's if you're not using a database, a CRM right now, take a look at it. And again, Engage has really grown and gotten better even over just the last 6 months. So again, if you looked at it once when we first rolled it out and you're like, I'm not going to do it, it looks too hard, too complicated, go back and take another look at it. Even if you go in and add a couple of people, add yourself in it and see now what it can do. I'm not going to go into a full-blown thing. We've got all sorts of training for Engage. The campaigns that you can now do automatically to the people in your database have just exploded. So if you looked at it when it first rolled out, take a look at it again, because you may really be pleasantly surprised. And, again, we have all sorts of training out there so that you can really get proficient at it if it's something that you'd like to dive deeper into. So again, this is just a sampling of the dashboard. It really can be a hub for your marketing to show you what you need to do, who your prospects are, who you've got active, who's pending. You can set a dollar goal in there. It makes it a lot easier. Sure, like anything else, it takes some time to get the information into it. But once it's there, it's a very robust system, and it's becoming more and more robust as the weeks go on. So time management, again, this is a key feature to business planning. You're independent contractors. There's nobody who's going to say, hey, where were you? You're not attending office meetings. Are you at your kitchen table in your pajamas looking on Facebook for 4 hours a day? Okay, I'll give you one day to be able to do that. But you really need to be very cognizant of how you are spending your time. And if you think that you're super busy and yet you're not getting very much accomplished, I have a great exercise for you. Take a 24-hour time period and get a sheet of paper and write down what you do every 15 minutes in that 24-hour period. You may be really shocked at how much time you do spend watching TV or on social media. Al, you want to jump in?
Yeah, and part of your time management should have really only one singular focus: meeting with buyers and sellers. So whatever you do as part of your time management, you got to look at those activities and say, how do they connect me with more buyers and sellers? Because that's really the key to success in your business, in our business, is getting face-to-face with prospects. If you're doing a lot of things at home and they're not leading to those specific appointments and meetings, then you've got to look at why they are not and what can you do differently so you are in front of potential prospects.
Absolutely. Let's see, I've got written down here a Thomas Jefferson quote: if you're consistently doing, it's wonderful how much you can get done. I know I feel that way. If I have a ton to do, I make sure I've got my to-do list so I don't forget anything. And, bang, 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 I get it. I'm able to get it all done because I know I've got tons of stuff I need to get done in one day, and I'm on a schedule. I'm on a timeline. It's super important when we all work. I'm still working from home, essentially. But if I don't get up and get dressed and ready for the work day, the day goes away and I still have my list of to-dos that still needs to get done. So it is super important. Set your alarm to go off at the same time every morning. Get up, get dressed like you're going to the office, whether you're going into the office or not. It is super important to have that schedule. And in the mornings, you can work on your business. That's your prospecting activities. That's when maybe you're writing the notes. That's when you're, reaching out to somebody to maybe have a Zoom call, happy hour, whatever it may be. And then in the afternoon, it's when you're working in your business. That's the time that you're going to be doing all those customer service activities that are so time consuming. So, just be aware that you really do need to control your calendar. Otherwise, it will totally take control over you. So I'm probably pretty sure everybody's familiar with the 80-20 principle, because it really can be attached to pretty much anything in the universe. 80% of the work gets done by 20% of the people. We spend 80% of our time in 20% of our house. Who knew? I read that statistic and I got to thinking about it. I'm like, that sort of is true. 80% of the commissions are earned by 20% of the realtors. Sadly, that is true in any market. 80% of our income comes from 20% of our activities. That's the big point. The key is to be able to distinguish what is the vital few from the trivial many. Again, another great exercise to do is take a piece of paper, draw a line down the middle. On the left side, write down all the activities that you absolutely love about this business. And then on the right side, write down the activities that you just loathe, you hate doing them. And consider maybe paying somebody to do those activities you just can't stand doing. And it will free up so much time for you to do those activities that you really do love. Excuse me. So what are the vital few that will give you the greatest results? What's that 20% activity that will yield you the 80% of the income? It's leverage. Do more of what works for you and avoid what doesn't. What gives you the biggest bang for your time and your money? And find out, you need to track this, like I said before, and I'll probably say it 3 more times before the end of the call. It's so important to track your business. How much money did you spend on advertising and marketing? Did it work? You need to be able to know that, where your business is coming from. Because if you're spending $1,000 a month on newspaper advertising and you've gotten 0 business from it, maybe you need to reallocate those dollars to something that does work. But you need to know what that is. So you do need to take the time to review end of year, where did your business come from? And if you don't, you should always be asking somebody, if your phone rings and it's a potential client, how did you get my name? How did you hear about me? And that's how you can track where these people are coming from. Oh, I saw your business cards stuck up at my credit union. Who knew? Or, oh, I saw your ad, or I follow you on Facebook because I love to see all of the decorating tips you post, whatever. But ask the question, say, how did you hear about me? Because that is what you really need to track, so that as you go, you can allocate your dollars and your time and your effort to see what really has the biggest bang for your buck. And I know I had mentioned this about the Ninja 9. And again, it's in the Ninja book. There's all sorts of Ninja information. If you go onto YouTube and just put in Ninja selling, you'll get all sorts of great information, podcasts, little quickie videos to watch. So the Ninja 9, number 1, gratitude. Start each day with positive energy. You can't beat it. And it takes just a couple of minutes. I think it's a great thing to start every day by saying 5 things that you're thankful for in that day. And it could be, I'm glad my car started. I'm glad I've got a roof over my head. I'm glad I'm healthy. Silly stuff. I'm glad it's not raining. I'm glad the sun's out. Whatever. Everybody can always come up with 5 things to remind yourself to be grateful for. Number 2, show up, time block, and stay on your agenda as best as you can. I realize, you have something in your calendar and then paperwork blows up, an inspection blows up, whatever. And you always have to deal with putting out those fires. But don't forget to stay on task as best as you can. And again, number 3, write 2 personal notes a day. If you get into the habit, it's so valuable. And just think about, on the flip side, of the person you're writing the note to, that may be the highlight of their month. You just never know. So don't discount that. Put it in your planning. And number 4, pull your hot list daily. The hot list, those are the people who you're actually engaged with right now actively. Those are your active clients. And stay in touch with them daily, because it makes those difficult phone calls a whole lot easier than if you're ignoring them for a week because you're scared to tell them there's been no showings because their house is grossly overpriced. Stay in touch with them often. And focus on your warm list daily. Those are the people who know you, like you, trust you, but you may not be in a transaction with right now. Customer calls are super important. This is made to make phone calls on, believe it or not. And I know so many people, use it to text. It's like a mini portable computer. I get all that. Don't forget about making phone calls and reaching out to people. It's important. And, you're not just, sell, sell, sell. I need to get business. I need to get business. Pick up the phone and call your best friend who you haven't spoken to in a couple of months because they live out of the area, and just touch base and say hi. It'll make you feel better. It'll make them feel better. And it will get you in the habit of making phone calls. Schedule 2 live real estate reviews. With the advent of Zoom and Teams and Google Meet, there's all sorts of ways that it's really easy now to be face-to-face virtually with people who we already know. Think about that. Say, hey, that would be sort of cool if I reached out and said to a past client, hey, I'd love to touch base. Would you mind doing a Zoom call with me for 10 minutes? Are you interested in seeing what's new with the market? Or are you interested to see how your house stacks up 2 years in, 5 years into you owning it? It's a great way to reach out to somebody to say, hey, we can't be together face-to-face in person, but let's do it this way. There's a lot of people outside of our industry who don't use this venue at all. So it can be sort of a novelty for people who aren't, glued to their seats on Zoom calls day in and day out. So keep that in mind. Schedule 50 live interviews per week. 50. Holy crow, that's a lot. It is a lot. But again, break it down into small elephant eating size bites and write it down in your calendar. And if you can't get to 50, can you get to 30? Can you get to 20? Can you get to 10? Because I guarantee you 10 is a win compared to every other realtor out there in the marketplace. And update your database and, try and matchmake with people for finding properties that maybe they're interested in. Your database should not be a static entity. It shouldn't be carved in stone. It's something very fluid and living. You need to find out if somebody in your database, their sister may have gotten into real estate, so they're never going to use you again. You need to know that information. But the only way you're going to know that is if you keep reaching out to people in your database continuously. So again, either your day runs you or you run the day. Scheduling is so important. Even if your schedule does blow up, still have something in writing. I know I do this and it's a really bad habit. If you use your phone as an alarm clock, when you go to shut your alarm clock off on your phone, what do? You start reading emails at 6 o'clock in the morning. Is that the best way to wake up? Maybe not, probably not. So you may just want to be aware of how you are working your business, how you are running your life, and see what little tweaks that you can do to maybe make it an easier day. Bad habits have a way of creeping into our daily routines and derailing our goal process. And again, that goes back to how much time really do you spend watching TV? And I'm not saying that quit watching TV, but limit your intake. How much time really do you spend on social media just scrolling through news feeds? It's important that you're aware of how much of your very valuable time is being spent in those activities that aren't generating revenue, aren't prospecting activities. So, you got to plan to make a plan. It seems sort of crazy, but log into your CRM, give Engage a shot in 2021. Work on your listing presentation, work on your buyer presentations. I am here to help. Certainly Al is here to help. There's tons of managers on the call today. Schedule an appointment with your manager to say, hey, a couple things really resonated with me, but I may need some help staying on track. Accountability is key in our business, just because independent contractors, okay, there's not really anybody saying, hey, what are you doing now? What should you be doing? You need to be that person, but reach out and get help from everybody who is surrounding you, because you do have just tons of support with the company. So don't be an island. Reach out and get help. And I could, a lot of people who know me on this call could go on and on and on and on, but I won't. So Al, do you want
to kind of before we start with questions too, I just want to say, our goal today is only one thing, so Jen's here to help you. I'm here to help you. I'm happy to sit down and talk with any of you or have a phone conversation as your managers are. But if you're a brand new agent, we want to help you get started and get that first 2 or 3 million. If you're a $5 million agent and you want to get to 6 or 7, how can this business plan help you get there? I hear a lot of agents plateauing at a certain number. You get to, 7 million or 8 million and you're there for 3 or 4 years. And how can you get to that next level? That's what this is all here for, is to help you build your business and have a process in place to reach that level of production that you want as your goals to move forward. So again, we're all here to help you. And like Jen said, we're happy to answer any questions. If you want to kind of chat with any of us offline, happy to do that also. So any questions from anyone?
Yeah, I'm going to just read some from the chat.
Yep. I answered a couple.
Oh, did you? Because Nancy Diani had asked, how do you get your, I'm thinking you're saying from your average sale price for your own body of work. And certainly Emily can help you with that. I'm happy to help you with that. Al can, with just the averaging. And yes, the PowerPoints will be printable. Yep, do your copier in the office a favor, print on both sides and print in grayscale. Let's see, Steve, learning the tools, is there a logical order to what to learn first and then next, etc.? Not really. I don't feel that there is. We do have so many though. Don't get so overwhelmed that you don't do anything. I think open to close is a great one to start with for tracking open house leads, just because they do feed into Real Scout and Engage. So don't get overwhelmed by all the tools. I mean, Real Scout, I think is great. It's easy. Real Scout, put yourself in as a fake client. So, and don't use your Howard Hanna email. Everybody has a personal email. If you haven't done it yet, put yourself in as a consumer. So that way you can see the agent side and then you can see the consumer side. With all of these tools, you can't break them. Your best thing to do is to just dive in and try them. Pretend to be a consumer.
Yeah,
a civilian.
and I think one of the things you need to do is look at when you put together your business plan and when you look at what you want to focus on as part of your business plan, look at those tools that are going to help you. Not every tool will be the same for everyone here in their business plan. So look at those tools that are going to help you achieve your business plan goals, help you achieve the production levels that you want. Because like Jen said, open to close may be good, Real Scout may be good, buy side may be good. There's a lot of tools to help you integrate into your individual plan to meet those goals.
Yeah, and again, I mean, the app, that's a relatively easy one to download the app on your phone and then, you know, share it with your sister, share it with your kids so that you can see how it works before you start sharing it with your clients. And I know when I mentioned the 50 live interviews, that is an incredibly large number. And in my world, an interview is, you know, 2 interviews is writing 2 handwritten notes. You know, an interview is calling your sister and checking in. All those things count. So while that
they're not face-to-face interviews. Yeah, right. They sound like face-to-face. It's calling someone on the phone, it's touching base with someone, it's finding a way to connect with a potential prospect. Right. And so one of the things too that a lot of you, I think, have started to use that is a great tool is our automated market share. So in almost every market that we're in, we are number one in some portion of the market, whether it's in a county, a municipality, in the high end of a market. You can take that market share report and it comes from you to your social media world. It comes to you. You can send it by email, whatever is the best mode of getting that message out there. It's a point and click. And so, you know, if you're here in Clifton Park, you can see that we're number one in Clifton Park. If you're in Syracuse, you can see what markets are number one. The same in the Southern tier. Every area we have a strong presence in. But use those market share reports because people like to see that we are the market leader and that you are associated with the market leader.
Absolutely. And if you're not techie, I'm not techie. I'll admit it. Eric, you're not techie either. Ask for help. Don't feel like, oh, I'm the only person in the whole company who doesn't even know how to put an app on their phone, because you're not. Don't feel like you have to go it alone. Reach out to your manager, reach out to me, reach out to Al. We are all here to support you. Does anybody have any other questions for Al or myself? Anybody can unmute yourself if you'd like, or put it in the chat.
Just quick question.
Sure.
I have the meeting this afternoon with Jessica for, you know, the business plan review. And it's kind of interesting because I pulled out my business plan file that I started on day one, and you're, you know, running the day and the day runs you. So kind of a half finished mission statement, so on and so forth. Basically my end of what I started week 1 was half finished just because the days started to run me, and that, oh, let's learn, engage. Let's get my prior clients downloaded. So I guess the question being, because I can ramble all day, as you very well know, but should I go through or reach out to Jessica, say, listen, let's reschedule, and then go through and do my SWOT, do the mission statement, get everything kind of planned to plan with her, or go in and keep it and then allow her to say, listen, this is what you need to do as a
and I think, Eric, I would go in with her and sit down and just say, hey, you know, I was on this business planning meeting today. These are some of the things I heard. You know, she can tell you what other agents in the office are doing too as part of their planning process. So to me, you know, being brand new to the business like you are, you want to take in as much as you possibly can to understand and get to know our business. But it also, I guess, the one thing I want to impress upon you and some of the other newer people that are on the phone, you can't get bogged down to, it's great to have a mission statement, it's great to do all this planning, and it's very, very important to do, but make sure you find time to reach out to buyers and sellers. You know, use the planning process to start the next step, and that's really reaching out to buyers and sellers. So don't get bogged down in just the paperwork. Start making those contacts too as you're going through and doing all this stuff to put your business plan together.
Yeah.
I think that's where some of it came about, in that business plan file, I know it's very important, kind of got set aside, and I'm like, let me get my postcards out. Let me start calling my largest clients and so on and so forth, because, you know, sitting here writing how have integrity and honesty is not making any money.
Well, the fact that you have half a mission statement written, I would be willing to put money on it that your half a mission statement is more than most every agent in the universe has. So, right, don't get bogged down with checking those boxes. Get the plan in place in writing for what you want to do first quarter of 2021.
All right. All right, cool. So I'll go ahead and meet with her, and we can always reconvene if she says this is what.
Sounds good, Eric.
And then let's revisit again and fine tune it and get going.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Good.
Well, I just want to thank everyone for jumping on the call today. I think a lot of good information. I certainly appreciate all your time. There's a lot of people on here that I know are top producers. There's a lot of people that I know that are newer to the business. So it's a nice mix of people that we have on the call. You know, our goal is to get you those couple extra transactions as part of the business process and to find a way to achieve your goal. So we're all here as a team to support you. I want to wish you all the best as we move through the last month of the year, and hope you have a great close to the year, and hope that you meet your goals in 2021, because we're all here to help you. So be safe, everyone. Stay healthy, and look forward to seeing you face to face sooner rather than later.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.